Hey guys, happy Juneteenth. I'm coming to you from my district here in Dane County. It's Rick Rose, your county board supervisor. Yes, Juneteenth, June 19th, a day to celebrate the wonderful power and the freedom found in the Emancipation Proclamation that happened in our country nearly 150 years ago. It's wonderful. In 2020, Dane County was one of the first communities to take this on and create a holiday, an official holiday, which many people will celebrate tomorrow here across Dane County. We, as a Board of Supervisors, in our meeting on June 16th, went forward with a proclamation acknowledging June as Juneteenth month. And I'm very proud of my many colleagues that spoke in support of this, and it passed unanimously. Here's a quote I want to share from County Board Supervisor April Kigea from District 15. My friend April said, Juneteenth is a day to celebrate and remember the contributions of African Americans to the U.S. While Juneteenth is celebrated on June 19th every year, our commitment to creating an equitable community for every resident of the county and our country's needs to continue every other day of the year, not just today. And may the spirit of today continue forward in the work we do here in Dane County, but also the freedom and the civil liberties that we need to bring and acknowledge across our country, across our state, and across the world in general. I also want to move forward to talk about some of the votes that took place in my understanding and standing on those votes that happened at the last board meeting on June 16th, as I do officially here where you're watching me now. So the first one I want to talk about is a resolution that went forward. It was sponsored by myself as well as 20 plus members of the board. And when you're talking about a 37-member board, that is a lot of people. It was officially put together by Supervisor Ratcliffe, and I want to thank Ratcliffe for their work on this project. It was to create non-gender specific bathrooms in county buildings. Basically, the resolution states that the policy of Dane County will now include gender inclusive bathrooms, that they are made available in properties owned and operated by this county, and that future properties include gender inclusive facilities. This is a very important step, we felt, as a board when we voted for this favoritively, because we want all people to feel comfortable within our county. Research shows that only 37% of transgender people feel comfortable using public restrooms. And the conversation moved forward that night, how important it is when we're dealing with a civil rights matter and an equality matter, that it doesn't matter the cost of a project necessarily, nor does it matter numerics and percentages. What really matters is that all people feel comfortable like their fellow citizens and their fellow residents and their fellow neighbors. For me, this was also an issue that I did not bring up because the conversation that night between all who, from the public who wrote us and testified in favor or opposed to this, I want to thank you all for bringing your positions forward and expressing your concerns and thoughts on this issue, both challenging us as a board, as well as those supported us, who supported in what ultimately was a positive position. I want to thank you all for coming forward. I want to share with you that the voices of my fellow supervisors that talked to that equality, that talked to that inclusivity, warmed my heart and really made me feel for the first time in an emotional way how grateful I am to be a member of this specific body of people that are making decisions for the county based on what we feel is right and what our fellow citizens want as well. So I voted for this. I want to also state that I would have, if it went down this path, let you know another reason why I vote positive to this. In our travels, including through Dane County, here at our Dane County wonderful Dane County Airport, we see family-specific bathrooms. We see gender-specific bathrooms. We see unisex bathrooms. We see single-stalled bathrooms where people can go and, for a very private part of our lives, be able to do that privately and not publicly. There was a recent study that was done that showed 46% of Americans don't do their business in public because they don't want anyone hearing them. 64% of respondents also reported battling constipation from not using the bathroom at their office. Top reason people avoid using a public facility is for fear of taking longer, than others that are in there, and for the judgment that comes with it, or for being seen doing something that is very private, but something that is a fact of life. So for me, this is also a health issue. And I believe that when we can create conditions that people feel safer, that aren't affecting risks to their public health, or risks to discrimination, or risks to being treated poorly, or discriminated against, or called names, or misunderstood, very well. It was important for me to vote in favor of this. Another vote that came up that went back to committee. So that means the committee that I serve on, Public Protection and Justice, voted to move forth a resolution to the greater body of the Dane County Board of Supervisors to increase some time and staff in the district attorney's witness and victim services unit. This is because a law was passed several years ago in the state of Wisconsin that required that every victim of a case that is in front of the DA receives attention and has personal contact from the victim unit. But yet it didn't fund staff to do so. So we are limited in staff. When we wrote the resolution, which we brought to the board, we felt it was a state of emergency, and this is something we needed to work on. Now, our fellow supervisors brought forward, a couple in specific brought forward that language and said they had concerns. Is this truly because it is a emergency? My feeling is that both of these supervisors, although I haven't talked to them, but through the way they expressed themselves at the meeting the other night, that they feel very strongly that we need to move forward with better staffing. However, is it really defined as a state of emergency? Did we have the right language, and is this the right reason we're moving forward? So it is going back to committee. We will look at it and bring it back to the board with deeper thought and deeper understanding of this very dire situation. And I assure you my vote will again be in favor of this proposal, which I also was a sponsor of and backed heavily. What was interesting, and you may have seen this in the press, is that the two fellow supervisors I'm referring to, Mr. Kiefer and Miss Heigleither, through their conversation and questioning this, also brought up their concern with the DA's office not processing crimes fast enough in determining what's going on. There's a specific case here in Dane County of a person that was shot in the back 5 times by law enforcement officers. And this was something that has been sitting without the DA moving it forward into a decision about was this justified? Was it unjustified? And what will the course of action be this moving forward with the law enforcement officers involved in the case? DA Ozane joined us on the phone, and he felt that he will close the investigation and come to some understanding and resolution with this once he feels he has received all of the materials he needs. Now, there was some discussion that the sheriff's office, who is mostly reporting on this investigation, has turned in that material, and that it is on the onus of the DA's office to move forward. A quote by Supervisor Kiefer was, "Justice delayed is justice denied." He went on to say he thinks it looks very bad for our county and reflects very bad on our law enforcement and our DA's office, that a case that involved stabbing someone in the back 5 times still has no answers to it. He was quoted to say it makes it seem like there's at least the possibility there's a lack of accountability and a lack of transparency in local government here in Dane County. So I want to bring that to your attention, that this is something that came up at the board meeting and will be heavily looked at by our body of county board supervisors as we examine the efficiencies and hold accountable our team over in the DA's office. Lastly, I want to comment on something that is not did not come up in the meeting yet and will be on a future Dane County Board of Supervisors agenda, and that is the Dane County Jail Project. As many of you have seen, it was approved, and after many, many years of looking at how we are going to proceed with a new jail, it was approved before this current body of board supervisors changed hands after the last election in early April. And but with the time factor, the cost of construction has gone up, and to do the work that was approved would be $10 million more. So there is a resolution on board to approve that $10 million to improve the loaning power of our board to get the $10 million and move it forward. At this point, that hasn't come before us, but I want to point out that there was also press around the county manager. The county Joe Precy, our county executive, and Sheriff Barrett, that they would like to see this go to referendum and brought to the public for their opinion. They would like to see it on the November ballot. That would count on a majority vote of the board agreeing to a referendum. So I want to let you know that the power to go to referendum does not lie on these two folks that I mentioned. It will rely on the vote of the county board. So please, let me know, let your county board supervisors know your feelings on this going to the public as a referendum. Also, let us know your thoughts on this particular resolution that will come before us if we should move forward with an additional $10 million on the project we have recently approved to move forward. You can find me at Rick Rose for Dane County on Facebook, on Twitter, as well as YouTube, and on my website. And weigh in on any of these matters, question anything you would like, and bring to my attention any matters you'd like me to look at. Thanks for your time today, and again, happy Juneteenth.